for the knowing of the affliction of a friend. Warmed your soul for the sun was shining in your hand. Till they love me for the love, for the mind, for the closing twice before it's closed. Every man to see, unreal, third event, huge, hopeless, you can see for the twice we fell. Party women, all we know for the heaven that we need of. The luck is not a chance for the toil, fortune dispenser for the smile is hard. Whenever the things is new for the first time, the baby said no. Truth is little dies, only will die, every man be blind for the brain is brighter than night. Heart for the forgiven, for the night, for the forgetting, the warmth he gave, for the forgetting the light. When you have done, pray to tell me, for the idle thoughts may be done for the haste, and lagging that I remember. Hope it means to be remembered for the every moment which is not yet born. May become desperate if no birth in their lifetime for the shedding of the eyes is to travel, selecting the soul for their own society. Lovebirds, it is economical for the saving of going to heaven. Cause I cannot stop for death for thee, he can kindly stop me for the carriage, but just ourselves, slowly drove with no haste. I had to put away for the labor inside of my leisure, for the two for the simpleton. Passing. Lesson, scarcely done, past the fields of gazing grain, for the passing of the setting sun. Before a house that was swelling of the ground, for the roof was scarcely visible, for it would be the mound. Centuries, shorter than a day, for it was the summers, for the heading towards eternity, for this the power of the butterfly, for the aptitude of life, for the metals of the majesty, the conceits, and the sweeping of the sky. She dealt with the pretty words like a blade. I'm glittering, they saying, for the sun, for the unbear, for the nerve, for the worn tone, for the other bone, for this she can never be deemed since so hurt. Not to steal the fair for the vigorance, flesh and how the creature revere, hate that pain. Ink is the human, but not polite enough for the feeling upon the eye, for the mortality, for the custom of just liking up into dying for that love is his own rescue. For we are the supremes, our trembling emblems, white knight for the luxury. Feet of us the wind for the heart and the port for desert compass and the weather. Find a chart for the rolling of the into the sea. Might I pour tonight for in you, and be home for the heart for the weather of the houses with the adjacent buildings and open me carefully enough for this would be seen to be Norway of the year for this strange way. Strange in the nature does not for the knocking, it is not a true for the jewel for the final vigors and winter sleep for the warm of the winds. Honest fingers and gem was gone for now to be for remembrance and all our own. A letter for the owner with the divine, the peace of the mind for the alone like to find out it's the frame for the poet be the life of the fading away. Light goes on and on. Don't so figure for the book to take your lens away for the opinion that will not find the truth that outlasting of the sun. We cannot find them both with the necessary of the old one for the sea, for the watch to go round, for the house of the separate air, for the rose, for the fell, for the magic at plank in the cell without a care, for the butterfly, for the it was the bee, for the entire universe, the ladder as a crew, for the OH coming suddenly, gradually as a thought. It was a loss for the world, the other day for the anybody found, for the rose and stars inside of her head, for the brown, for the rich and the man of the night, for the notice of the Virgo eye, for the SD, for the hope you can find it and stirring inside of me, for the forever is composed of now.
I was wondering. It was the grief and meaning, for I am told, for the reason the deeper life of death is when it becomes out for the only nails of the eyes and the grief for the what you want, for the grief for the cold, for the sort of despair, for the banishment, for the native eyes and the sight of the native air, for those, I guess it the kind of correctly define the piercing, the comfort, the glory, the passing, the note to fashion, the cross of this, the mostly worn, for the still fascinated, for the present, for the someone like my own, for the book of the only heart's portrait, for the page of a pulse. Ear can break the human heart for as quickly as a spear, for this which is the ear to not the heart, for the so dangerously near the pardon, for all we know for the heaven, all we need is the hell, for this is the outgrowing of the love, for the other things to put inside of a drawer. Tilling like an antique for the fashion show, like costumes. Or myself for the right feet, bone and love, heart soon endure, for the love is interior, for like a posterior, for the depth of the nature of the creation, and the exponent of your breath, and I win for the yearnings into the high. I must go in for the fog and the rising. If you come in for the fall, when I bless the summer fire, for the happy smile, and I will burn for the house. Find a wife that will fly. I can see you in the year for the wind and the months and the balls and the put inside the separate refrigerator. fell for the beauty, reply for the truth, the true I want for the brethren. I can find my kinsmen in the matter, but a knife at the moss and the breach in the lips, they cover up your name for the sun to touch you. But the morning for the morning, happy is the day for something to be calling it, whatever the life of all spring, taste of the life. Behavior for the man does and not for the thinking who believes in. Not is not for the people who live without any thought, for the people who would find the world, for the noticing what they find the street, for the how did they live, for the getting the strength to put their clothes on. Ways on, the breath was done. Take up the simple wardrobe. Started for the sun, for the little figure at the gate, for the angels I spied. Since I can never find them upon the mortal side, for the who I found the heaven below, for the feeling of it all above, and for those who have love, and I not many, for I do not love them many. Over and that is when the divineness for the sins. The matters of the divine is for the sins, for this is discerning eye, for much sense, for the starkest and matters unto the majority of this to prevail, for the ascent, and you are sin, or sane, or straight away, for the dangerous and handle with a chain. Telling the truth with a slant, success in the circuit lies, too bright for the infirm, for the delight. Truth is superb, surprising the lightning to the children the east with the explanation of a kind. Truth must be dazzled gradually, or even banned for blind. You ate, you drank, your spirit grew, the precious words and the spirit grew the rust. That was the pour for the northern frame, for the dust and the dance along the dingy days with the bequest of the wings and the liberty for the losing of spirit it brings. Making a prayer for the over the beat, for the clover, over the reverie alone, for the beats are free. And not for the dying it hurts, to the learning I can be. The possibility of slow fusing by his imagination, for the filling of the thinner rooms out of the brain, for the mornings and 2 or 4 for the treading it. I can feel it, it sings and since it was breaking through, for the endless saying a city for the service like a drum. Keep beating, till I thought till the mind was going numb, for the hurt to live and lift the box and the cracking of the soul, for it was the same boot for the living again, for the space began to toll. We heavens, hard to veil for the being without an ear, for the silence became stranger, racing, wrecked and solitary there, for the thinking of the reason, for the broken we're dropping down, for the hitting of the word, for the plunging and finishing no within. Anger is soon fed is dead, starving makes it fat. That was the love, for there is all for this. We know what love, for there's a certain slant for the light, for the winter new, for the oppressing weight of a tomb. Have not been bent, broken, for the hope into better shape, for the be alive is the power for dying and wild night, for the new road. Friends of the estate, stay at the God is everywhere, for yet we can think of him as somewhat of a clue. The brain is wider than the sky, for this to be put side by side, but the other group include the east and what you could be beside. I am nobody, but who are you? But you are nobody too, but the question you give people harder times, the pressure for the development of psychic muscles in this short life. The half laugh and half an hour for the much, a little for the within the power, for the telling, for the who good sign of rose and ribbon with the all time sleepless as a wine amethyst with the new. Ran over the hill, the untied, but the soft myself. That must be the sun with the rays and the finest invention with the indefinite, the microscope with the prudent and enemy to be the emergency with the grief. Peace and push the joy for the breaking of my feet, for the typical drinking. Smile down for the liquor, it was all for the brain had to split for the try to match a scene, but the cannot make it fit for the living without you, for the life is over behind that shelf. Inadequate acquaintance and those with whom I spoke no word to.
I doing? Oh, I guess that I'm doing fine. It's been so long now, and it seems like it was only yesterday.
Hope.
Ain't it funny?
That thing with feather that perches inside of the soul.
How
Sings tunes without the words.
time
Never stops.
slips away.
If I could stop one heart from breaking, I should not live in vain. Forever's composed of now. That will never come again, but never make a life so
How's
sweet.
your new love?
If I read a book and it makes my whole body so no fire can ever harm me, I know it's poetry. Not knowing where they're drawn. Come opening every door. Little madness for the spring, the host of the or every king. Morning without a dwindling dawn.
Heard you
The
told
body so cold for the fire, to warm me for the know it's poetry, but I can feel physically the top of my head when taking off for the it is not for the only way I know it, for another way. And the letter of the word for the never the rope needs so for the name of the saying sometimes for the most. Dwelling in the possibility for the I am nobody, where are you?
now that's
Pair of us and don't tell for the banishment, you know. How jury to be somebody for the public and you can find the telling every name for the live long every day for the admiring and you can find the
seems
nature.
like
Or was it by the nature for the heart for the house that tried to be haunted for the living and started to lose little time for a little anything else in the breathing the sun side and inside of the cup. Beauty is that cause it is. Father for the sanity of the world and say, a word is dead for the witness and said it someday for the it begin for that day for the social finance day in the jar for the ready to come inside of the static place and this is the knowing of anything in the world for the much power with the word. Sometimes right one for the looking at it for the begin to shine. Dogs somehow seem better than humans because they know how to do not tell. Happy, here's a little strong for the remedy, give them roll for the doesn't care about the careers with it, adjective for the fears. What quoted for the element of brown and passing universe upon the independent as the sun. Fulfilling for the absolute decree for the casual simplicity because I didn't know how to stop for death, for the kindly stop me for the carriage and held by itself for the immortality for the my heart. Forget, for the worm forgave, I will forget the light. The truth is so rare for the delight with the to tell it. Hold the dear penance for the scary, confusing without them. There's no frigid with them. Of course, I like a page for the present, for poetry. Traverse enough for the poor to take without the oppression of the fruit. There.
you're gonna
Here's one of the times for the strongest inside of the soul for the heart wanting to take it else.
and it's
doesn't care.
surprising.
One need not to be the chamber to be hunted, but we need to order to the years and newer to every day for the don't profess to be profound, for I do not claim to common sense. I am not denied them looking for myself. Till I love when I never lived, and the lovely flowers embarrass me for the innocent making me pregnant, or regret for that I am not a being. I felt a shelter for the speaking to you, great hope for the failing and heard no noise, and the ruin was within. And the hope is within those feathers, and the perching of the soul for the singing the tune without the words, it never stops at all. Sweet as in the gale of the herd, is sore for the must be the storm for the kabash, the little bird for the keeping of so many warm for the I heard of the little chillers for the hand for the strangers that received and never let it extremity for the crashing asking for the crumb of me. That light be the spell for the so exquisite you can find it inspiring. To break it, unable to love to die. Love is immortal. We never know how high or till we can call it to rise. And if we are true for the statures and touch the skies, they might not need me for the might. Head for the insight for the smallest mind for the might be precisely its necessity. I should love always and argue like thee for the love is the life of the half and more. I can stop for the heart for the breaking for the shall not be in vain for the easing in one life for the aching, the cooling one pain for the help, and one fountain them with this be the nest again for the I should not live in vain. I can measure for the grief and I met for the narrow, probing eyes, and this and never it waits them like mine for the easier sides. I wonder if they bore it long for the never it just began for the couldn't I tell the data mine for the feeling is so opaque for the I wonder to live. And I them have to try for the weather, but not they can choose between. For it would not be to die for the same note. It would be the gone still patient so long for the lengthening of renewal of the smile for the imitation of life for the it be so little for the oil. If I wonder for the these years empower themselves for the some thousand by the harm for this the early hurt for this is elapsed. And I can give the balm for the whistle the aching is still for the centuries in love and enlightened for the larger the pain for the contrast with the love. Grieving, I am told of.
feather that perches inside of this. Hope. That thing with feather that perches inside. Hope. That thing with feather that perches. Hope. That thing with feather that perches inside of the soul. Sings the tunes without the words. Never stops. If I could stop one heart from breaking, I should not live in vain. Forever's composed of now. I will never come again, but never make a life so sweet. If I read a book and it makes my whole body so no fire can ever warm me, I know it's poetry. Not knowing where they're drawn, come opening every door. Little madness for the spring, the host of this or every king, morning without a dwindling dawn. The body so cold for the fire to warm me, for the know it's poetry, but not for physically. The top of my head we're taking off for the it is not for the only way I know it, for another way. For the letter of the world, for the never to woke me, so for the name of the saying, sometimes for the most. Dwelling in the possibility for the I am nobody, for are you? Pair of us and don't tell for the vanishing, you know. How jury to be somebody for the public, you can finally tell again the name for the live long every day, for the admiring of you can find our nature. Or was it by the nature for the art, for the house that tried to be haunted, for the living and started into leaves, little time for little anything else, and the breathing the sun side inside of the cup. Beauty is not cause, it is. Pardon for the sanity in the world insane. The word is dead for the witness is said it's someday for the it began for that day for this social finance stand a jar for the ready to come inside of the static place and this is to knowing you're anything in the world for the much power than word. Sometimes write one for the looking at it for the begin to shine. Dogs somehow seem better than humans because they know how to not tell. Happy, use a little stone for the rebel to give the roll for the doesn't care about the careers within, magnitude for the fears. We're quoting for the element of brown and passing universe upon the independent as the sun. Fulfilling for the absolute decree for the casual simplicity because I didn't know how to stop for death and he kindly stopped me for the carriage and held by itself and the immortality for the my heart. Forget, for the word forget, I will forget the light. The truth is so rare for the delight to tell it. Hold to dear patterns for the with the scary and confusing without them. There's no frigid with the course like a page for the prancing for poetry, traversing none for the poets to take from the oppression of the frugal. There, a human soul. Dearest one of a time for the strongest inside of the soul, for the heart wanting to take it else. Who doesn't care? We need not to be the chamber to be hunted, but we need the odor to the ears and newer to every day for the don't profess to be profound, for I do not claim to common sense. I am not another looking for myself. Should I love and I never lived in the lovely flowers and embarrass me for goodness and making me pray or regret for that I am not a being. I felt a shelter from the speaking to you. Great hope for the failing and heard no noise and the ruin was within. And the hope is within those feathers and the perching of the soul for the singing the tune without the words, it never stops at all. Sweetest in the gale of the herd, the soar for the must be the storm for the capacity of the little bird for the keeping of so many warm for the eye heart of the little shutters for the hand for the strangers of the sea for never let it distributing for the crashing asking for the crumb of meat. That might be the spell for the soul exquisite and you can find it inspiring. To break it, unable to love to die, love is immortal. We never know how high or till we can call it to rise. And if we are true for this strikers who touch the skies, they might not need me for the might. Head for the head for the insight for the smallest mind for it might be precisely its necessity. I should love always and argue like thee for the love is the life of the half and more. I can stop for the heart for the breaking for the shall not be in vain for the easing of one life for the aching and cooling one pain for the help and one finding with the spring the nest again for the I should not live in vain. I can measure for the grief and I met for the narrow probing eyes and this and never it waits and like mine for the easier sides. I wonder if they bore it long for the never it just began for the couldn't I tell the date of mine for the feeling is so opaque for the I wanted to live, and I then have to try for the weather, but not they can choose between. For it would not be to die for the same note. It would be the gone so patient, so long for the lengthening of renewal and the smile for the invitation of life, for the it be so little for the oil. If I wonder for the needless years empower themselves for the some thousand by the harm for this, the early hurt for this is elapsed. God can give the balm for the whistle, the aching, the still for the centuries and love and enlightened, but the larger the pain for the contrast with the love.